Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in. So, I'm going to share with you what I've written down about Venus entering Pisces and what that means for the meaning of it, the meditation, and the focus. So, what does this mean? Okay, Venus enters Pisces is about personality traits, behaviors, and actions that we notice around that time. So, it's the study of astrology. And astrology is very much linked to yoga and meditation. And if you use that along with the moon phases, it can be very powerful. So on my meditation channel and my life coaching channel, I talk more about this. But for the Lily Sky channel, we're going to look at it a little bit, okay, in a different way, just the meaning for it in your birth chart. So on your birth chart, you would check and you see, okay, what is where's Pisces in my chart, okay? So when you look for where Pisces is in your chart, then you can see, okay, what planets are there. So let me just pull up I'm just going to it's good for me to just look at a chart while I'm talking about it. So right now, let me just slide over. Okay, so looking at Pisces and just seeing if there's any planets in Pisces. And if Venus happens to be the planet that is in your Pisces, then you can see what that means. And then what house is Pisces in? Is it in the 9th, 7th, 8th house? And that's just a little bit more detail what house it's in, then that's a different meaning. But now Venus in Pisces has its own spiritual meaning, okay? So that's one thing to look at, is the planet and the zodiac sign being linked together because they're within that same position. The planet Venus is in Pisces sign, okay? So that's the meaning for anyone that's new to it. Right? I'm just breaking it down really slow. Now, Venus is the goddess of love and compassion. And for the year 2020, Venus enters Pisces. That happened on January 13th. I'm making the video now, January 22nd. So Venus is in Pisces until February 7th. And Venus entered Pisces, it's Venus 0 degrees 0 minutes, okay? Now, 0 meaning in astrology, 0 in astrology represents intuition, very, very strong. And Pisces is all about intuition and the whole spiritual journey, okay? And Pisces look at things very spiritually, and 0 represents intuition. It also adds a spiritual dimension to all other numbers that it's next to, okay, like 20 and so on, okay? And it unfolds, 0 unfold in that it unfolds the energy, okay? So it's the unfolding of that energy. And this means that it's unpacking the energy, all right? The energy of unconditional love. So this could be something that a person needs to work on: compassion, beauty, money, and fighting for what you desire in a feminine way, because Venus is a feminine energy. So Venus is the feminine aspect of Mars. So Venus can be very, very strong, very powerful in that way. So the unfolding of the energy is what 0 can represent. And in researching this, I'm finding a lot of meaning for 0, right? So 0 is using the positive aspects of Pisces along with Venus, right? Along with Venus's attributes. So I'm correcting like my writing while I'm doing this with you guys. So it's using the positive aspects of Pisces along with Venus's attributes. So when that planet moves into that sign, you're looking at both of them and how they complement each other. 0 is also looking at the beginning and ending of a cycle, okay? So new beginnings or the unfolding of that energy, and also will affect anything related to the sign. In this case, the energy and meaning of Venus and Pisces. 0 and 29 both represents endings and beginnings, and our efforts to complete or to perfect our handling of that particular sign's energy. So how are we handling Pisces energy? And especially if you are a Pisces, then this is strongly affecting you, regardless of if Venus is not in your chart when you were born, your birth chart. But Venus is going to affect how you're feeling as a Pisces right now, because Venus is in Pisces, but also how can everyone else benefit from this, because this is a powerful exalted position where I will explain that later. So how do we apply the energy of Venus and Pisces in our lives? Okay, so these can be things that we want and we feel passionate to work towards because we want the rewards of it, right? And what it will amplify in our lives and make it more enjoyable. So we want our lives to be more enjoyable. We want to amplify what it is that we want, all right? The other side is working on things that we don't want to work on because we're comfortable the way that we are right now. So it's best to use astrology in this time frame, this energy from the 13th of January to the 7th of February to really clear out any jealousy, hate, and anger or whatever it is that we have within ourselves. So you might hear the spiritual terminology shadow work, okay, or shadow self. The shadow self is a psychology term, which is referring to the shadow side of ourselves, our personality that we don't want to admit to having, right? So at first, it's like a personality trait or behavior that is unconscious to us, right? So it's just the unconscious side of our personality, okay? It is only one, right? So once we recognize it, it's up to us. It's only when we recognize it we can actually work on ourselves and we can actually work on making this better, okay? So you can make a conscious effort to really make your personality, your character better. You can kind of clear away anything that is negative about yourself that's holding you back from your goal, and then you can move forward on actually working on the goals that you want to get for yourself. Okay, so whatever that goal is, whether it's love, it's more attraction for whatever it is that you want. So from January 13th to February 17th, it's good to purge, especially on the waning moon cycle. And then on the waxing moon cycle, work on the things that you want to bring into your life, okay? So it's important to note, and what I noticed is that on January 13th, the moon was in waning gibbous in Virgo, and then when it ends on February 7th, it's going to be in waxing gibbous for Cancer. So if you are into astrology then, or know it well, then you can actually use the beginning days and the closing day, especially now, the closing day, but using the waning moon and the waxing moon. The waning moon is getting rid of that shadow self. And then whenever it's in waxing moon, you can work on the prosperity part of it. So, like I said, I'm going through my notes and just sharing it with you guys. Okay, so So before Venus was in Aquarius, and Aquarius has wonderful attributes, okay? But when it was in Aquarius, the emotion was more detached in relationship, and when it's in Pisces, it's more focused on compassion, sympathy, romance, and any act of being gentle with oneself and others. Okay? But you want to be aware of the emotion of love that you're giving to another person. You might end up overdoing it and becoming more selfless. And then when you're more selfless, you tend to get more hurt in relationships. So you want to really balance out that energy of giving love, you know? So when Venus is in Pisces, people tend to feel a deeper feeling of love, right? And that can get out of control because you're giving away too much. Now, I want to look at Venus when it's in Aquarius. Venus in Aquarius, like I said, it can have like a lot of great attributes, but they can also be overly detached in relationships, impersonal. They can shy away from any emotional involvement and committing, right? They can become easily bored or fickle, and they'll choose their personal freedom over committing in a relationship. So a lot of times, depending on their life path, your life path numbers, because there's so many different levels to astrology. So it depends on your life path number. What are you here to do? What is your rising sign? Right? So what's your life purpose? So that can also interfere with relationships too, and having a long lasting relationship. And there's there's the astrology part, and then the sociology part of the first 6 to 8 years of your life, right? So Venus is exalted in Pisces. So this means that it's in a powerful position for higher love and acts of forgiveness, or working through the emotion of forgiveness, and also inspire a person to have greater admiration and awe, so you can work on the attraction of yourself to be more admirable, and you're more magnetic, kind of like the law of attraction. But first you have to really work on the shadow self and clear out the parts of you that you might not think is bad, or and so on, right, like we discussed before. So when a planet is exalted, the astrology meaning behind that is that it's in a great place of awareness. So you can really be more aware of yourself, the shadow self, and your need to really succeed. It's kind of touching on all these beautiful, wonderful aspects in astrology. You can, even if it's not in your birth chart, right? You can use it to better yourself. Okay. So the Pisces energy is now being modified by Venus qualities, right? So, and by doing this, it's going to emphasize Venus's spiritual attributes of love, beauty, and harmony. All right. So it's going to offer a cosmic compassion and gentleness, but also earthly. It's going to give you that unconditional love, gentleness, and compassion. And the planet of Venus is, like I said, at its most highest powerful position. It's going to, if you think of it as showering down the maximum amount of power that Venus has to offer to really impact Pisces persons, but also anyone that wants to take advantage of this planetary alignment and position, right? Position. So some other important aspects to look at for Venus when it enters Pisces is that she is the goddess of love, Venus, right? And she is going to also look at the forgiving and the understanding emotion. So what can you forgive yourself? What can you understand about yourself and also others? Right? So it doesn't mean that you're going to let things slide, but you're also going to do it in a different way. Say that, for instance, if someone was like if I received like bad customer service or something, I you can have understanding that, well, okay, that person might be going through whatever X, Y, and Z, but it doesn't mean that you can't make a complaint and say, there's room for improvement, right? So that's like the Mars side of Venus, where you can understand that, but then you also understand your need for excellent customer service. Okay, so you can look at it that way. All right, do what you got to do. So now Pisces, they tend to not see the world in just black and white. They in black and white terms, they see like the whole color of the rainbow, and they're looking at things in a deeper spiritual way. Okay, so that's also very powerful. So where things might hurt you, you look at it more in a spiritual way. It can still hurt, but when you look at it in a more spiritual way, you tend to not act out of anger and frustration so much, but just in correctness, if that makes sense. Okay, so in relationship, with this energy, it's more also seductive, right? And showing more compassion to their partners, right? Like I talked about before, being more affectionate, being more tender, but also not overdoing it so you don't get used in relationships and then you don't become overbearing or annoying. Right? So water signs have a lot of love and compassion, and it all depends on what's in your chart, but you want to make sure that you're not being too much or asking for too much. So really having understanding there, or just not overshowering with too much love, right? It's best to use this energy first on yourself and then give the appropriate amount of dose of that love to your partner, family members, and also when you look at it in society. Right? So there's different meditations that you can do if you're into that. There's like, self-love work, compassion, beauty, personal attraction for love, personal attraction for your personal success, harmony within your home and a harmony at work, and just a favorable outcome in any kind of disagreement or court case or anything like that. For any kind of movement you want to do as far as exercise, you can look for couples yoga. I know that like it ends on February 7th, but even like any kind of workshops that is geared on love, even coaching, life coaching and love coaching or whatever. It's good to start that in waxing moon. Anything that you want is best to start it in a waxing moon. And then waning moon stuff, you can use that movement to kind of purge yourself of any kind of love frustration. Okay. So the yoga movement and meditation could be, like I said, couple partner healing, love, bonding love. Usually Kundalini yoga will offer stuff like that, encouraging and uplifting love. Like for a friend, you can do couples movement for that in yoga, right? So there's always something there. And that's usually personal work too, rather than a partner, It can be, to create a bond, like healing love, bonding love in couples yoga, partner yoga. And like I said, encouraging, uplifting love. That's like helping a friend. So there's different kriyas and movement for that. Waning moon phase, you want to get rid of any kind of lower emotions, right? Or any kind of defeating personality traits that will block you emotionally and physically from completing your task or meeting your goal. So you can look at Kriya Yoga, meditation, Kundalini Yoga to really empower yourself. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's looking at Pisces, like whenever I want to make sure that it's applicable to your life. So in creating this video, I'm looking at Venus 0 degrees, 0 minutes. That's really powerful because that's like your intuition, and Pisces is very much into intuition, just going back over everything that I talked about, and adding a spiritual dimension right? So you think of the dimension that you're in right now, right? You think of like third dimension, fourth dimension. So we can study dimensions and then tap into that and then empower yourself in this dimension. So it's a lot of energy work, a lot of things to unravel. But if you're new to it, is just focusing on clearing out your shadow self, like really looking at, what am I doing day to day that might not be good for me? And then another video I made on your personal calendar, your spiritual calendar, that would be a good thing to add for yourself, a spiritual calendar, and then also a daily task calendar, and make sure that they don't overlap each other. So that's really a good thing to have. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Click like. And this video really serves not just for Venus entering Pisces in 2020, but also I feel like it will serve for you looking at your birth chart as well. So I'm probably going to title this differently than I do for my meditation channel. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was useful to you. If you have any questions, please leave that in the comment. Definitely click like. That does help my channel. And click the bell below this video so you'll know when I'm live. And yeah, that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.